Okay, in this video I had somebody ask me if I would show a couple of techniques. So these are a couple of techniques that I teach. So we're not using the bandana, but it's something that you can just sit and just think about. You don't have to, physically try to do this. But if somebody is sitting on the floor and somebody comes along, you'll be able to tell that when I grab a hold of Troy, I'll be able to pick up, I can lift him up. And you think about a smaller person, like a smaller child or whatever, they're going to be able to pick them up real easy, okay? So Troy's palms are down and he's just relaxed and he's just sitting there and his palms are down. So if I come up behind him and I grab a hold of him, you can see that I can pick Troy up. He's leaving the ground and he's coming up in the air, okay? So let's say Troy says, I don't want to be picked up, I don't want to be taken, especially you think about a child doesn't want someone to come and pick him up, okay? So all he's going to do is he's going to turn his palms up, okay? Keep his elbows bent, his palms are up, and then he doesn't need to lean forward or do anything else. All he needs to do is just think about, I'm going to put my chest in my hands. That's all you have to do is think about it. And so if he thinks about it and I grab him, I cannot pick him up at all. And you can see how much I'm straining. There's no way I can pick him up. I'm using my legs. I cannot get him up off the floor. Okay, simply by doing that. All right? So this is a way that whether you're sitting in a chair or whatever, if a small child or anyone, and if you don't think it works, try it with your kids. Have your child sit down in a chair, show them to turn their hands up, and just think about leaning forward and see if you can pick them up out of a chair. But this is a way that you can passively resist an attacker from picking you up and taking you somewhere. Okay, they can't lift you up out of, even if they're a big strong person, they're not going to pick you up and move you. Okay, so I want to make sure that I cover that. The other thing is what if someone is on the ground or they're sitting or whatever, and you need to raise them up, you need to pick them up, and they need your assistance, all right? So I'm gonna have Troy turn to the side and face sideways so that he's in the screen, good. So Troy is on the floor and Troy needs help up, okay? So when he needs help up, I don't wanna injure my back and I don't wanna get hurt, okay? So Troy is also strong enough and has the physical ability to use muscle on his part, but he doesn't have to. What we're going to do is what's called sharing energy for me to help him get up, okay? So a lot of times what you see is people reach with their palm down to the person to grab a hold of them and try to pick them up. So if I grab him and I'm trying to pick him up, I have a hard time, and even if Troy's trying to get up, he can't, okay? So watch, there's no effort. All I do is I turn my hands with my palms down, and I want to make sure I'm using my legs. He's going to place his hands on my forearms while I just leave my hands down. Now, all I'm going to do is make my back straight. I'm using my legs. I'm going to bend my arms up to my chest, and Troy can stand right up. And as soon as he gets a hold of me, he already feels like he's holding onto a wall. And there's no reason, there's no movement. You notice how I'm just able to lift him straight up. The point to this is that I'm using my energy on me just staying balanced, and that allows him to do whatever he needs to do, okay? So if I need to pick someone up, make sure that I have my wrists down, my elbows are bent and down, and it's kind of coming up in this angle this way. I'm just lifting this way. And so if he grabs a hold, all he's doing is grabbing a hold, and I'm just raising my arms up. And it doesn't make a difference. There's no effort on my part. There's no effort on his part. You end up sharing energy. And this is why I was speaking earlier in one of my earlier videos that when we're doing our bandana training, understand that there's times when we don't want to give our energy to our opponent. And there's times we want to keep it for ourselves. And then there's other times when we share the energy so it stops that person from being able to move us or do whatever we need. So you saw where he turned his hands over and simply thought about putting his chest forward. And what he was doing was he was creating his energy to stay down here, and nothing I can do can pick him up. I can't lift him up. I can't lift him up and take him out of a chair, take him off the floor. I can't get him out of there because he's deciding, no, I'm keeping my energy right here, okay? So there are times when we want to share energy and there's times when we don't, okay? So there's another basic technique that I teach my students, which is the push, okay? And for this, I'm gonna grab my trusty little handkerchief, and I'm showing you because I want you to see how simple this is, all right? So Troy puts his hands on me, and and all I want him to do is just put his hands on my chest, and he's gonna push me backwards. So as he's pushing, I start to move, right? So what I wanna do is, I just wanna make a soft connection. All I'm gonna do is just touch him. And so as he's pushing here, and I have this soft connection here, I just want to touch him. Look, I can come up on one leg. He can't push me over no matter how much he's trying to push. He's not going to be able to move me, okay? Because what I'm doing is, make contact, the energy now connects and circulates right here. Push. So he's not going to move me, okay? So and notice I'm not making hard contact. Don't make hard contact. Just stay soft, stay relaxed. Make your hips in a circle. You can just stand there and wiggle around. They put their hands on you and you just touch them and you're like, no, I really don't want to go anywhere. You look really cool. But that doesn't mean that I can't move, okay? So when I decide I want to move, remember I want to keep my hands together. So if he's pushing into me, I can simply pull down on one elbow, raise one elbow, and all that energy that he's pushing really hard with, as I pivot out of the way and get out of the way of my opponent, he's going to go flying off screen. So I don't want him going flying off screen, so that's why he walked off, okay? So when we talk about sharing energy or maintaining our own energy for our own safety, that's the differences, okay? But again, like I said, I wanted to make sure that I covered something that one of my students specifically asked for, you know, how to, they were asking, how do I lift someone up safely? Even nurses and EMTs, you know, they know how to pick people up and how to move them. They're trained specifically on how to do that. They didn't teach me this thing. This is something that I learned on my own. What they taught me was about taking my foot and placing it in between their feet, wrapping my body around them, and then lifting them up. And this is a person who might be elderly or have, you know, physical disabilities in their lower body, and they can't do anything, or maybe they're too weak. I learned this with my father-in-law when he had cancer and was in hospice in his last days, and I was helping move him around. You take a 180-pound dead weight man, and you're the one who has to move him around from position to position and point to point. You know, it's a very, very difficult thing. Most people don't have the physical strength to do it. So it's not about physical strength. And so fortunately, the nurses came in and said, quit using physical strength and start using the body techniques. And so it's part of where I learned, you know, how to step in and using the body, have them hug you, and then you're basically hugging them, and then you stand up and you're actually pivoting the person to where you want them. So think about when we're doing our own martial arts. What do is we're moving. We're here. We keep them in our center, and we turn and we pivot from one point to the next. If we have to step, then we're going to do a little shuffle step, or we're going to do a pivot and a step. It depends on who and what we're dealing with, and whether we're dragging dead weight or we're moving a moving person. You know, Troy is an assailant coming at me. He has energy and he has the ability to move. Okay? I don't have to work. He's going to give me energy. So you look at his position as he's here and he's giving me energy. As he comes forward and he's giving me energy, all I have to do is step and turn and get out of the way and take that energy, connect with it, and move him. And he's already off screen because all his energy just went past me. Okay? All I did was get out of the way. So one of the things that I always tend to do is I joke around about, I use a bandana, and I have been for years, because I think about a bullfighter. You know, he stands there and he's like, come on, here comes the bull, right? And he's not, what he's actually doing is he's staying out of the way of the bull, and he moves out of the way of the bull. He's not going to try to stand there and take a 2,000, 2,500 pound, 3,000 pound bull and let it run him over. And we're not going to do that with ourselves. You know what I mean? All we're going to do is we're going to get out of the way. And the biggest problem that people have is sometimes when they train, they get in their own way. They try to use muscle to move someone around me when it takes less energy to move myself out of the way and let them go on by. Okay? So think about it with your car. If you're an adult and you're driving and you're going too fast, or you're driving down, you might be going the speed limit, but the guy in front of you slams on his brake and you're too close. Stepping on the brake, you're not going to stop all that forward momentum. So it's faster to take your wheel and go whoop, whoop, and change lanes and bypass the vehicle and give yourself a place to stop past them, whichever side you decide to go on. It's not any different than that, okay? And so if you've ever slammed on the brakes and you slid into the back of someone, it's because you couldn't go right or you couldn't go left, all right? Or you didn't know that it's easier to move around something than it is to try to stop before you run into something, all right? So let's make sure that whatever it is that we're doing in our training, we get out of our way, share energy when you need to share energy to help people, and don't let people use your energy when you don't want them to, all right? Someone's trying to pick you up, someone's trying to move you. That's why I have you have your hands this way. If you turn your hands facing out this way, yes. If you're trying to use your force and your energy, you have to turn your hands out this way to push and use your force and your energy. So if Troy is here and I'm looking at Troy and I want to move Troy, I've got to have my hands pointing in this direction so that I can turn and move Troy. That's how my energy works. Yes, I can put my hands here and I can press out, but I'm making a circle, right? But it's not as effective as having some kind of hand control. The difference is when Troy's pushing in against me and he's walking in, my hands are collapsing. So if I flip him over, now I can hold him there and he can't come in. He can't push, okay? But my hands are staying nice and close together, relaxed, okay? All I'm doing is just holding him there. If I want to slip up and hold him with the shoulder, look where his body's going. He's falling already for me because I changed from here and I let his body move in and I stopped him with the elbow. When I did that, it turned his shoulders, which is already starting to allow me to take him to a throw. All right? So when we talk about energy or helping somebody or not helping somebody, you know, you don't want to help your opponent beat you up. And at the same time, you don't want to work any harder than you have to. You want economy of energy, and you want to understand that you're using your core and you're using these basic principles of your core energy and the biomechanics of how your body is designed. I've told you all this over and over and over again. I'm not showing you anything that's mystical, magical, you know, this is just how the human body works. Everybody's body works the same way. And as soon as everybody understands that and starts to understand that, now apply it to the things that you do. Think about everything you do around your house. Whether you're folding your clothes or you're washing dishes or whatever. If you have something, where are your elbows? Your elbows are in and down. You're not like this trying to fold clothes. You know? You're sitting there and your elbows are down. You come in, you turn, you're folding, your hands stay nice and close together. And you can fold stuff up, you move, you put it away, but it's staying in the center. It's like if you're my age, you know that TVs used to be really heavy. If you're really young, you think they're all flat screens and that's all they ever had, or they had phones. And back in my day, all the phones were attached to the wall, right? So when you pick up something really heavy, you grab it from down here. And that's how you pick it up and that's how you move it around. But where is it? It's here in your center. And it's down here low in your low center. As soon as you start trying to raise it up, it's like, oh my God, I can't hold it anymore. It's extra heavy, okay? Because you're not using your muscles the way you're supposed to, okay? So when we stand and we have our arms here, then our elbows are down, our body is here and it's kind of sunk down and we're relaxed, and we have this level of resistance to anybody pushing in against us, okay? If I allow Troy to come in and he puts his hands against my hands to push me, and now let's say Troy pushes up, where's my energy going? It's going up and back. Now he's going to move me. So I have to keep my elbows down. And if he tries to push up, then that's when I'm going to start redirecting. I don't want him to bring my hands up. If I want to drop Troy and I feel him pushing, then it's like, fine, I'll lift you up. And notice now what I did. My hands are staying where? Together. Remember I mentioned in an earlier video, I talked about the elbow coming up? Maybe I'm using this elbow to help guide and control him into my throat. It doesn't have to be an elbow. It might be me just turning his whole body and helping control and guide what it is that I'm doing. So whatever I'm doing here with this, whether it's circular and it's around my wrist, or I'm just redirecting, doesn't make a difference, all right? It's just a way for you to practice at home. Anyways, thank you.